I was thinking about your journey as far as entrepreneurship. Is there a person or a story inside of the Bible that you would be like, yeah, that definitely sounds like my journey?
Man, I could get lost and find myself in so many of those stories. Cause I mean, I can go Old Testament. Everyone wants to be King Solomon, right? Everyone wants to be the one who's sitting on the throne, but I honestly don't believe that that's my story. I believe that for me, the big thing, my camera will focus here in a second, most likely, but the big thing that I found myself in was in David's story, because with David, like David was a warrior king. And the big thing that I think about with having vision is because he had a vision for how his life would go. I mean, he had lots of victories, and then for technically no fault of his own, Saul was trying to kill him for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. So there's so much where he had to, and you watch it. So exactly what we talked about with David is you watch him be a man of character. He kills Goliath. He does all these things. The people love him. Saul's after him. He's still being a man of integrity. And then slowly over time, he chooses to be someone else. And it gets to the point where he's almost about to get stoned to death, because when he was out doing who knows what, these people came and took everyone, took all the men, women, took all the women and children, took all their stuff. So his own soldiers who had been with him forever said, hey, we're just going to kill this dude because obviously he ain't doing nothing. And in that moment, he decided to turn back to the Lord, and then the Lord gave him victory not long after he ends up on the throne. So for me, I find myself more in that story where there's been times like having $1 million business where everything seems really good. Then when the business went away, it's like, okay, I'm trusting, I'm believing, I'm moving forward. And then there comes a time when it feels as if nothing I'm touching is working. Those are the moments where I decided, like, that's where my character really started to change, was when adversity really hit. Because when adversity really hit, that's when I went, okay, now I have to discover who am I really? Because who you are in the dark, when nobody's looking, when nobody's listening to you, that's who you really are. So that was a big one for me. Then if I look in the New Testament, I mean, there's so many people. Everyone wants to find themselves in Jesus, but I'm so far away from perfect that I'm definitely not going to say that. But I would say that I think it just really depends, because there's moments I find myself like Thomas at the end, because we just coming off of Easter. Thomas, he's a disciple. He's actually the one when Jesus is going back to raise Lazarus from the dead. And they're saying, Jesus, are you sure you want to go back? Because they just tried to kill you over there. And Thomas said, hey, let's go. I'll die with him. This same dude, when Jesus dies on the cross, he doubts it so greatly. When Jesus comes back, he said, I won't believe it until I get to put my hand in his hand and put my hand in his side, in the wound in his side. I won't believe that he's come back. So there's times where I'm sitting there and I'm ride or die like Thomas. And there's also times where I'm like Thomas and I go, hey, I'm not going to believe that this is real until I can actually tangibly touch what this vision is, until I can tangibly touch the paycheck, until I can tangibly touch the client. I'm not going to believe that the vision I have is actually real.
Wow, dude, that's hey, Steve, man, this is a good interview. Oh man,